This is Joe Smith from the Midwest Football Podcast. Please remember to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. It all helps us grow our show. Look for our full show, too, anywhere you find podcasts. Links below.
Let me be clear. When the Lions traded down from 6 to 12, after Jalen Carter fell to them, I'm a big Jalen Carter guy, and then they picked a running back in the first round, I think my head exploded. There is still mess in my living room from where my head exploded. But
I can account for the fact that I'm glad we did not live record a reaction on Thursday. You might not have a job.
Off the air.
Yeah, exactly.
We'd have been off the air thanks to me.
Your responses were not happy at the moment.
Yeah, I'm still not, because I think the biggest thing that you can say about this draft is I don't think they got enough for the 6th overall pick, basically, unless running back Jahmyr Gibbs and tight end Sam Laporta are Alvin Kamara and George Kittle.
Yeah.
Okay. My personal philosophy. I'm a podcaster. I'm not a draft evaluator. So I have philosophical ways that I like to see a team built. I have certain traits that I like to see in players, and some players that I think have them. I do not look at hundreds of hours of game tape. So am I smarter than an NFL general manager? Well, unless it's Matt Millen, probably not. So when you have a guy like Brad Holmes that does something a little bit unorthodox, or a lot bit unorthodox, then he gets a little bit of leeway, because he's gotten us from a roster that's probably worse than an expansion team to 3 off seasons later talking about winning the division and making a playoff run. He gets some leeway there, but I can still criticize. It's still fair to criticize that you went from a spot where you could have gotten an elite player to one where you probably didn't. I don't think there are too many guys other than Brad Holmes, more on this in a moment, that had Alabama running back Jahmyr Gibbs in the super elite tier. Holmes did. Holmes, he pretty much went on the record to Monday Morning Quarterback and said that the super elite tier on the Lions draft board was defensive end Will Anderson, cornerback Devin Witherspoon, and Alabama running back Jahmyr Gibbs, in that order.
So are you telling me that the theory that they panicked when Witherspoon went shockingly 5th to Seattle may be true?
Possibly. Although they also went way out of their way to say that they were getting ready to take Jahmyr Gibbs at 6 over Bijan Robinson.
That I don't believe. Who had Gibbs over Robinson in any world? He's like the best prospect since Saquon or Adrian Peterson at running back.
Yeah, it seemed a little bit used car salesman to me when he said that, which is not something that Brad Holmes is known for, especially considering that in those after day one pressers, Holmes basically doubled down and said, "We don't draft scared, we don't play scared." Direct quote.
Okay.
So, his basically...
I believe that after this weekend.
That is true. But, I mean, you have to know when you are this far away from consensus in your draft evaluations, and they were. There was the Lions draft board, and there was the draft board used by the rest of the known universe. You have to understand where your values are different from consensus and get some extra value out of that.
Agreed.
So it just seems like they drafted, especially early, a lot of guys at their ceiling. If these guys live up to their potential, that's great. They got potentially elite players at tier 3 positions in the NFL. And for those of you that didn't listen to our positional breakdown a couple weeks ago, I got bad news for Lions fans. There's only 3 tiers. But you've got a linebacker that I like. I don't have a problem with Jack Campbell at 18. We've got a running back that will contribute immediately in Jahmyr Gibbs. He's the airback. We've got a tight end, and we didn't have one, with Sam Laporta, who could be he's a pass-catching type running back, which is what we needed. We didn't need a blocker. We've got a really good offensive line for that. We've got an Alabama defensive back that people are raving about as a potential steal. We got 4, maybe 5 guys with defensive tackle Broderick Martin who could all be immediate contributors on a team that ended the season last year on an 8-2 tear. So you might argue with how they got there. We might not want to see how the sausage was made, but they ended up with a pretty okay draft class that I'm curious to see.